Hi guys, so today's video is going to be a little bit of a chatty discussion video about fantasy burnout. I definitely think that phrase is a little bit dramatic for what I've been experiencing, which is partly why I wanted to have this discussion in the first place, so that I could elaborate a little bit more, and maybe some of you can give me your recommendations or book recs, because I'll be talking about some things I've found myself very interested in recently. But before we get into the conversation, a big thank you to glassesusa.com, who is sponsoring this video. I love working with them because, as usual, I get to do a giveaway, so I get to get one of you a pair of glasses. They are prescription, so you get to pick out a pair of frames that you like, and then your prescription, which is wonderful. I love that I get to do this with them, so I'm so grateful that they are always open to this. Anyway, the way glassesusa.com works, if you don't know, they provide glasses at a more affordable price by taking the middleman out of the equation. So you buy the glasses directly from their website. They have an online try-on, so you can see what the glasses will look like before you buy them, because obviously you're going to want to know since you're not going to a store. They have a huge variety in style. They have a huge selection, so you can get regular prescription glasses. You can even get prescription sunglasses, which I absolutely love, as well as a mix of name brands and in-house brands. So this particular pair is a name brand. This is a pair of Ray-Bans. They're that classic circle shape, which I love. They have the gold coloring, but it's very subtle, and I just think that these go with so many different things, but they're a hint on the fancy side, I think, whereas this other pair I absolutely love to wear with something kind of more casual, although I mean, like, everything I wear is casual, but I just feel like these are just very cute, and they make your outfit a little bit more fun because they do have the gold on the side here, but then this part is kind of a white gray color. And another pair of glasses I've been wearing all the time recently would be this clear pair, one because they're clear, so they match everything. I absolutely love the shape. I love the way it kind of catches the light. I like that they're a little bit chunky, but not too over the top. I love all three of these pairs of glasses, and frustratingly, I feel like all of them go with this sweatshirt, so I was like, which pair do I wear? But I'm gonna go back to the gold ones for today. You can also get the blue light lenses that help your eyes with screens, which I definitely feel like a lot of us need. If you are interested in any of the pairs that I showed, I will have them linked, as well as just glassesusa.com in general. And if you'd like to enter the giveaway, just leave a little glasses emoji in your comment. I will be announcing the winner in roughly 1 week over on my community tab. Jumping now, though, into the discussion about fantasy burnout, or more broadly, genre burnout. So one of my goals this year was to try and pick up at least once a month something that wasn't fantasy, which I know for some of you that probably sounds ridiculous because you don't read mostly fantasy, so the idea that I have to be like, at least one book not fantasy, probably sounds really stupid. But I love fantasy. I love it so much in all forms, whether it be board games or movies or TV shows or video games. I love fantasy, and obviously for books as well. Even though we're having a conversation about fantasy burnout, just last night I was making a list of books that I want to try to get around to this year, and they were basically all fantasy. So I'm not abandoning the genre. I don't think less of the genre. I don't think it's stupid or anything like that. I have just, because I have been trying to read outside of just fantasy this year, in picking up some non-fantasy works, I have been loving them. And I knew that would happen. It was the reason I wanted to pick up other things, is because I was craving it. And I really owe this to, I would say, the memoirs I've been picking up. So last year I read Between the World and Me, and so far this year, as far as memoirs go, I have picked up Born a Crime and Educated. All of these books, absolutely amazing, phenomenal, highly recommend. I want everybody to read these books. They're very, very good. I've been wanting to read so many more. So by the way, if you have memoir suggestions, feel free to leave them, because I will absolutely be looking for them when I go to my local used bookstores. It's not just memoirs, however, that I have been wanting to read. I have recently picked up the nonfiction book Evicted, and I think at the core, what I'm experiencing is missing learning. I miss learning. When I was younger, I loved school. I loved getting to learn. I loved it so much. I was that kid that I went to like a math competition. I won an award from my English department. I also loved playing my violin. So I don't want this to sound like I'm like I was amazing and I'm so smart. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying I loved it. And it was partly because my home life was also not great. So school was an escape for me. And I kind of miss sitting down and learning information and then studying that information. It's the best. I don't know. I miss it so much. And not that you can't learn things from fiction. I have learned my lesson in the past. I have to clarify this because also I apologize for the lack of structure in this video. It truly is just a chatty discussion. But quite a long time ago, I made a video reacting to a Reddit thread where readers were having conversations about non-readers and their thoughts about non-readers. And it was basically just bookworms being absolute snobs and saying people who don't like to read for a hobby are stupid. In my reaction to that video, there's a portion of the conversation between these very empathetic humans where they're basically saying, how do people even learn if they're not reading? But they're specifically talking about reading fiction. So I found it funny that they're like, how do these non-readers even learn if they're not reading make-believe, basically? I found the concept of that funny, but a lot of people, and I'm not making fun of the people who pointed this out because I actually agree with them, a lot of people are like, you can learn a ton from fiction. You can learn empathy and you can learn to be a more understanding person. You can experience things through a story that you're never going to experience in your own life, which therefore is going to make you able to connect with people and understand people better. And I agree with all of that. So I'm not saying you can't learn things from fiction. I'm not sticking my nose up at fiction. I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I did that because I love it. And I absolutely think fiction has so much value. I just also crave, let me rephrase. So in saying that you can learn things in fiction, there was also kind of this side thing where people were like, learning from fiction is way more valuable than learning from nonfiction because nonfiction is just a bunch of facts. And I'm like, the last nonfiction I read that had a bunch of facts was when I was like in elementary school, and it was like, here's some facts about mammals. And it was just like pictures of animals and like, did you know that when bears hibernate? And it was stuff like that. And I'm like, is that the last reference you have for nonfiction? You can learn a ton from nonfiction. It's a different kind of learning. And that's what I'm getting at. There is value, I think, in both nonfiction and fiction, and I'm craving the other a lot right now. That's one side of it. Another aspect is that I think people will say that fantasy is an escape in a very negative, derogatory way, and I've never understood why it would be seen as horrible. It's not like somebody's in denial. It's just that sometimes life can be difficult and you need to do something to make it a little easier for yourself. And I mean, if fiction is going to provide that for you, I think that's fantastic. I don't think that's a terrible thing at all. And having it be an escape can be very beneficial for a lot of people. I think right now, I don't necessarily want to escape. Many of you know that last year was not great for me. It was very, very, very difficult. And I kind of want to, I felt like I couldn't exist in the same world as everybody else around me. So what I mean by that is, one, obviously, everybody having to stay indoors and not go out and socialize and stuff is one aspect of this. But another is that I was taking care of my elderly father. I so did not want to get him sick that I was especially kind of holed up in our house taking care of him. And I also, because I was his caretaker and he relied on me for everything, I had to be ready to help him 24/7. And I would find myself wanting to read more about what was going on in the world because there's a lot of things going on in the world. And I kept wanting to understand things. I kept wanting to look into things, social issues, or I'm not, this isn't going to turn into a thing about politics or anything like that, but there was a lot going on in 2020, and especially in my country, in America, but everywhere, all around the world. And I felt like I could never do enough, that I could never be present enough, I could never learn enough because I was taking care of another human being who was dying. And that's like a level of commitment to something that I feel like a lot of us don't really know what that's like. and how much it feels like you lose, I don't want to say you lose your sense of reality because that's extremely overdramatic, but it feels like the world stopped, or I felt like my world stopped and everybody else has kept going, and then now I'm trying to integrate myself back into it. And I think I want to get some of that by just consuming all of the knowledge that I can right now, whether that be in memoirs and learning about other people's experiences, or in reading about the state of things in the world or things in other countries, or learning about things with history and things that nobody ever really knew. Hey, did you know about this one event? And no wonder that this is this way over here, or this is why this particular city is the way it is, or whatever it may be. I know at this point it's turning into a super long ramble. Hopefully you're keeping up with this long stream of consciousness here. But I felt like I stopped being a part of the world, and I want to be a part of the world. I don't know if that makes any sense. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm never doing enough. I'm never doing enough for everyone else. I don't do enough. I'm just sitting reading my fantasy books. Like, sometimes I feel like that. Not to say that you should feel that way, but sometimes I feel that way. And I want to read my fantasy books, but then I want to read these other books over here. And anyway, if you have any suggestions for how to kind of handle that feeling of inadequacy when it comes to your contributions to society, let me know. If you have experienced this genre burnout before, let me know. If you have some suggestions for nonfiction that you think are great and memoirs that you think are great, leave those. And don't forget the glasses emoji, because this is sponsored. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed all of this rambling, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.